hotle mo re tsamayang teng ke di pothole fela. Re tlameile hore di pothole tseno di kwalwe. Re tlameile hore ho be le metsi mo bathong ba rona ba dulang teng. Ho tlameile hore maphelo a batho ba rona. The continued growth of the agricultural sector has contributed to the economic growth and food availability. The ANC government will continue to support agriculture by bringing underutilized land into production and providing effective farmer support to 1,000 small-scale farmers. Get Department of Agriculture. Sithi, sifuna ukuqhubeka ngaleyo nto because we want to support our farmers. Kakhulu the small-scale farmers, nalabo abafuna ukuba big farmers. We want to continue supporting them. We have already seen that when we give our people, this time round, we were able to free 362,000 hectares, where our people were able, with the support that they got from government, to plant, to plow, and to produce food for themselves and their families, and also to sell. The ANC is resolute in its commitment, as well as to increase the participation of Black South Africans in agriculture and related industries. When we started off in the 1990s, we said we want 30% of our land to be in our people's hands. We have moved very slowly. Today, only 11% is in there for both farming as well as human settlement, because there is land hunger in our country, both in the rural areas and in the urban areas. Our traditional leaders also want us to deal with communal land and make sure that that land is made available to our people, and we are, during the course of this year, will, amongst other things, add to the measures that we need to take to give effect to our 54th National Conference resolution. Yes, to enable expropriation of land without compensation where appropriate. That is what we will. We call on the government to implement the outcomes of the Communal Land Summit to address the tenure security in communal areas, as I said. We call on our public representatives to also make sure that we accelerate the passage of the Land Redistribution Bill to enable the state to, our people continue to live in poverty, which has been worsened by the impact of COVID-19 and the rising cost of living. We therefore will continue improving social protection for the poor, including through, amongst other things, social grants, free basic water and electricity, and subsidized should be expanded to provide basic incomes as fiscal space allows. Until a permanent basic income support is in place, government must continue to provide the social relief of distress grant of 350. 300 lenyane empa e fihla ho batho ba 11 million naheng ena ya haeso. Ha o sheba batho ba fumanang thuso ho mmuso wa rona, re fihlela lenane le 29 million. Ha o sheba hore South Africa mona re batho ba fihlang ena sa haeso, ho na le tsela e mmuso e thusang setjhaba sena. Ntho ena a e etsahale ka tsebo ya ka dibakeng tse ding Afrika mona ke South Africa fela e kgonang ho thusa batho ba bangata hakana setjhabeng sena le ditjhabeng tse ngata. On our fourth priority, municipalities has had a devastating impact on our citizens. Many communities have to deal on a daily basis, infrastructure, lack of maintenance. The conference therefore resolved to embark on a more concerted initiative to strengthen government departments, municipalities, and our state-owned enterprises to ensure that they deliver on their mandate. This year we will implement ukuthi kuqashwe abantu abakwazi ukwenza imisebenzi. Hayi iphukuphuku abantu abangawazi umsebenzi. Re batla bao bana le ntsebo. Loko hi kuma vanhu lava nga tirhela South Africa hi lava ku ri hi tiva ku ri hi kume vanhu lava ta mo vane va sive na vudivo ri toda vathu vane va do shumela lushaka nga ndila yo fanelaho. Ibe vathu vo gudaho, ibe vathu vane va diva mishumo yavo. That's why we say we want to professionalize the public service so that we are able to serve our people at the highest level. Do so almost like they are doing our people a favor. They must not allow our people to stand in long queues for hours and hours. That is why we say we want people who are real professionals, who know what they are doing. We will use the district development model to plan and to execute all this priority. And indeed, we are already seeing great movement when it comes just to water and sanitation, and we are also seeing movement in the provision of housing. We are also going to come up with new ways of delivering houses, new ways of also providing subsidies to our people. One of those ways will be we want to build our own houses. So do not delay by wanting to build houses for us. Allow us, free us to build our own houses, but give us service sites so that we can go ahead and do so. We will build partnerships with the private sector on infrastructure finance. Our fifth priority is to strengthen our country is secure and stable so that our communities are safe. The ANC will therefore take steps to further strengthen the law enforcement agencies and improve citizen involvement in the urgent work of restoring peace and stability. And we call on our people, well-resourced community policing forums and community patrollers. Where community policing forum works, we find that the levels of crime go down. Where the community is involved in patrolling, in being the eyes and the ears of the law enforcement, we therefore need all of our people to participate. Law enforcement agencies and other criminal justice institutions that were weakened by state capture and corruption are now being rebuilt. We are going to take steps to increase the number of police personnel in line with international norms. Selemong sena se ona parlamenteng. Ba hirilwe, they are well trained and they've now been brought into the police service. Ba kenya path the number of our police. The ANC directs governments such as kidnapping, human trafficking, drug trafficking, gasation of public infrastructure. In fact, the Minister of Police and myself have clearly directed the Commissioner of Police these areas, and those units are being set up, and the specialization is beginning to bear really good fruit, and we want that to run havoc in our country. We will not allow them space. We are now going to take them on, head to head, allow South Africa to be a lawless country. Ke khale re bona ditsotsi di ntse di matha hohle hohle ba senya nako eo. We must intensify the struggle to end violence against women and children. This means to focus to prevent gender-based violence through various programs that involve men in tackling patriarchal attitudes and toxic masculinity. Re re bontate ba mona South Africa. A re ke re qete ntwe re phele ka khotso kaofela. Ka bana ha o hlokahale hore ha o le monna o emise letsoho la hao against motho wa mofumahadi kapo le ngwanyana. It is us men who need to take steps to stop gender-based violence. And we are now calling on the men of South Africa that ourselves and try to get to the depth of this. Hobaneng re tshwara ka tsela empi e kgopo hakana against the women of our country. We must increase the number of sexual offences courts. The court tsena tse sebeditsang ka gender-based violence, re batla hore di violence. And the women of our country, and indeed we agree, want more harsher sentences to be imposed on those who perpetrate gender-based violence and femicide against the women of our country, and that there must be stricter bail conditions for suspects or no bail at all. Their budgeted amounts when it comes to the eradication of gender-based violence. We commend the ANC Women's League, the civil society, and social movements who are leading the campaign against gender-based violence. They have raised this matter prominently, and this matter is being addressed as much as we possibly. Is the enemy of the people and is committed to taking a tougher stance against corruption. Because yes, we view corruption as being counter-revolutionary. Any ANC member implicated or involved in corrupt activities will be dealt with and must be dealt with according to the ANC rules. To enhance the integrity of the organization, the 55th conference has reaffirmed the step-aside guidelines and resolved to strengthen the Integrity Commission and the ANC disciplinary structures and processes. Zondo Commission of Inquiry on State Capture. He will implement those recommendations that relate to our organization and those who have also been implicated amongst us, to prevent state capture from ever taking place again, and anti-corruption institutions. The sixth priority is about building a better Africa and a better world. To enhance South Africa's development and transformation, we will continue to work with our counterparts elsewhere and on the continent, development and peace on our continent, and to drive the growth, diversification and development of the African economies. We must ensure that the Africa Continental Free Trade Area is effectively implemented. We need to work together with our partners across the continent to realize the opportunities that this understanding that multilateralism and respect for international law are the key to the global political and economic stability of the world. South Africa continues to advocate for reforms that will ensure that the underrepresentation of our continent has a voice at the UN level, and that the global South is strengthened in the multilateral system. We need to support the revitalization of the non-aligned movement. The BRICS group of countries continues to play a critical role in setting global development village. To be chair of BRICS in 2023, South Africa will be chair of BRICS, which brings together China, Brazil, India, and Russia. And we are going to have a summit here in South Africa where they will all come and honor us with our presence, not only to South Africa, but to our continent as well, as we will seek to advance the African agenda at the BRICS platform. We will, of course, want to bring together other countries that also support the developmental agenda of our continent. Having outlined our priority actions for 2023, the roadmap towards Vision 2032, the conference has adopted this vision to guide the renewal and the rebuilding of our movement, as I said, for the next 10 years. The active participation of our branches, our alliance partners, and other formations in society will be central. Task is to build branches as centers for community development. Ama branch ethu kungabi nje ama branch aziphilelayo just on paper. Hilava ku ri loko hi ri na branch ya ANC, iba branch leyi hanyako. It must be a branch that is alive. It must be a branch that holds its regular meetings. It must not be a branch that holds meetings when we elect people for positions, or when we go to the provincial or national elections. There are branches that just exist for that. This time round, to be alive, to be brimming with activity, to be alive of our branches is an urgent and vital task for our movement. We must build dynamic ANC branches, promoting safer communities, and also engaging in law enforcement. To strengthen our branches, we must end gatekeeping. Ba ema munyakong ba sitisa ba bang hore ba joine ANC re batlo re fele o mon lo mong o na le batho ba no ba tla reng ha o batlo joina ANC o joina nna pele wena a se wena Jesu Kriste a re tle ho ANC ka wena re tlela ho ANC ka borona. We will build on progress that we have made on the new membership system, which has improved our ability to restructure our organization. Our third, know that they have certain responsibilities. We want them to adhere to the highest standards of organizational discipline and revolutionary morality. Our cadreship must reflect South African society. We must be able to attract progressive people from all classes, from all racial groups, from all, we build quality cadreship, a cadreship that is well-trained, cadreship that will know that, yes, they must participate in the activities of the ANC and be able to engage in the political education that is offered through the O.R. Tambo School of Leadership. Our fourth, each have critical roles to play in enabling the ANC to serve the people of our country. The Women's League has been active in championing the interests of women, while the Veterans League has added much value to the program to renew and to rebuild our movement. The Youth League, it has the capacity for elections where they will be able to get as many young people as possible to register. The leagues need to have functional structures, dynamic programs, and be able to move towards their own conferences and elect their own leaders. So we are looking forward to this year as the year when our leagues, so that they can operate effectively on their own. The fifth task that we have is that we must strengthen the alliance. The 55th conference stressed the strategic and significant role of the alliance and the broad mass democratic movement in terms of the role they have played in our transform South Africa into a national democratic society. The alliance constituted by the ANC, COSATU, and the South African Communist Party must now confront new strategic questions about relevance, renewal, and also, yes, the reconfiguration of the alliance. Now, despite many discussions, we therefore need to make sure that we give it the adequate attention and ensure that we address this matter to finality. An economic and energy alliance summit should be convened to develop a unified program on the most effective way to use all policy instruments, must act together in a decisive and principled manner. Our sixth task as the ANC is to register large numbers of citizens. Is a task that all of us seated here today, members, supporters, and guests and all, we need to make sure that we register as many people as possible for the forthcoming elections. Voter participation has been going down over the years. We now need to upgrade it, of ensuring that our majority is retained. Our seventh task is to strengthen governance and advance transformation. To improve governance, the ANC will strengthen its internal mechanisms of monitoring and implementation of policies and ensure of various executives, be it at provincial or national level, will have to report annually against key performance areas. Haiba, obeiwe stulo, and how do this stulo say no? Mo tlameileng o sebeletse setšhaba, wena o isitse boroko, o tla ntshiwa stulong sale, e tla ba e re sheba kaofela, rona ba beilweng ditulong, go tloa ho president o ya tlase kwana, la o le masepaleng, haeba wena o isitse botswa le boroko le hore o etsa dintho tse tswileng ka tseleng, o tla ntshiwa setulong. Conference resolved that, yes, we should deploy people on merit. This is an important process of our renewal program to ensure that we have people who are fit for purpose. In recent years, we have had to deal with the issue of unstable coalitions, largely our municipalities, and we have found that those coalitions are unstable. The ANC and our alliance partners need to develop a more coherent approach to coalitions. This approach must safeguard socio-economic transformation and sustainable development. Must not be about the sharing of spoils and positions. They must be about serving the interests of our people. Our eighth task is to ensure effective communication and social mobilization. The ANC needs to communicate its policies. The ANC member, leader, and deployee must understand that they are communicators who, through their words and actions, help to shape public perceptions about the movement. Re batla ntwena ya hore o molomong ha bua ka ANC a be a ipuela hore kaofela ha re bua ka ANC re be re bua ka ANC ka molaetsa o le mong laeba re bua ka melomo e fapakaneng. Ho na le bao ba ratang hore ba pharowe ba ipueletsa bona fela. Re fumane hore ba ntse ba attack-a ba bang mokgatlong. Re batla hore ntweno e re tla ba re shebile rona kaofela hore re bua jwang na. The ANC must rebuild international solidarity networks. We must also intensify engagement with our former liberation movements in Southern Africa, independence, justice, and equality. The ANC reiterates the continue to strengthen the long and traditional bonds that we as the ANC have with the Polisario Front, Yabatuba Western Sahara. We also against Venezuela, against Cuba, against Iran and Syria, as well as elsewhere in the world. Sanctions that have been imposed unilaterally and unjustifiably, causing immense suffering and hardships to ordinary citizens of those countries. I have the Zimbabwean economy, and as the Zimbabwean economy has become weaker, it leaves many of our fellow Africans from Zimbabwe with no option but to come over the border to Botswana, to South Africa, to Namibia, because they are being subjected to harsh economic. Zimbabwe will once again grow, and many of our fellow African Zimbabweans will see no need to come to other countries. They will stay in their own homes because people often want to stay in their homes to advance the interests of their families. Our 10th and final task is to modernize the ANC operations and ensure that the ANC has the necessary resources to undertake its work. Conference recognized the heavy reliance we have on the private sector, but last night was a wonderful moment when we had a gala dinner which we do business with government, who just came out in their large numbers to come and support their glorious movement. And I want to thank those who came, supported and led by the Progressive Business Forum. And we call on other businesses, yes, continue supporting this organization to more fully fund the activities of all political parties in proportion to their electoral support. le re bona re le tjena asina umona asina inzondo sithi yebo uhulumeni makasapote onke ama-political party ngoba kufanele ukuthi sisupporte i-democracy yethu. Accountability. The ANC will implement an organizational redesign process as well. On the occasion of January 8th, we honor the courage and dedication and selfless service of those veterans, stalwarts, and activists who have passed on in the year. This was a great loss to our movement. For close on to 10 years, Comrade Jesse served the movement as Deputy Secretary General and served the organization for 25 years. As we conclude this important gathering marking the 111th anniversary, in furtherance of these goals, the 55th National Conference declares 2023 as the year of decisive action to advance the people's interests and to renew our movement, the African National Congress. It is fitting our veterans who have made lifelong commitment to serving the people of our country with integrity, humility, and dedication. The brain amongst us, as Sitwalandwe, Mama demand that the apartheid regime must not impose past laws against the women of our country. As an ANC member, each one of us has an individual responsibility to those who have walked this path before and for generations that will follow. Great deal of inspiration from Bertolt Brecht, the German communist playwright poet, when he said, some people will wage a struggle for a day, and that is good. Some people will wage a struggle for a year, and that is better. Some people will wage a struggle for many years, and that is even better. The ones we cannot do without. And Comrade Sophie de Bruyn is one of those. The struggle must continue. We must continue to renew the African National Congress. It is only when we renew the ANC and unite it that we will be able, that will create jobs. It is only when the ANC is renewed that we will be able, yes, to create jobs for the young people of our country, that we will be able to fight gender-based violence, that we will be able to deal with the criminals in our country, that we will be able to have local government that will serve the African National Congress, knowing that this job is irreversible. Ke terena a ikhutlele morao e tswella pele fela ha o sa tšhetše e tla o thula terena ena ha o sa tšhetšele ka thoko kapa wa ikalama ka nnete e tla o thula ntho e betere ke gore o palame terene ena re tsamaye matla manda matimba all power, all macht and dimense, Amanda, happy birthday ANC, happy birthday, Kalebo.